think you're always going for your collaborative team goal or goals. That's the big picture. And it's up to, I think, also me as a manager, but also up to a company to define smaller goals for each individual or each individual contributor that add to our goal. If you structure your company in the correct way, it should never even be possible that if one person achieves their goals, that it hurts something else. It should always be aligned and working together towards one goal.
I can't see a situation where a local team would choose to do something that would cause, other teams challenges. What each team is building is contributing to the bigger picture, right? So, a company is trying to move in a certain direction, and all the teams are doing their part in order to make sure that, that the company goal is fulfilled.
It's the big picture, always. So it might hurt others, but it is about the big picture, and the big picture is not about the company, but it's about the customers. So if we can, as a company, can help customers, and it might be that other members of Friss or products will have a downsize, that might be a trade-off.
So it could be that we now start making product decisions where in time we will start saying goodbye to some customers that have been loyal with us, have been creating content over the past years. So
that's one of the hard decisions we have to make. Sometimes we have to say no to something which is not aligned within our strategy, within our focus.
What you have to do is try to find a way to calculate your cost of delay, because if you're spending some time on something that's not helping your company achieve its goals, it's delaying the achievement of those goals. So what does that cost? That's very difficult to put an actual number on that, but it's something you can estimate based on your forecasts. Then you have to decide, is it still worth it?
In some cases, what we've done is we've built very customer specific features. And, for example, we get customers onto our platforms usually through big tenders, so it can be, 12, 18 months worth of work in order for us to actually secure a new buyer. And often what these buyers do is they say, we will use Mercell's platform if you build us X, Y, and Z feature. It seems like an obvious thing to do, right? So if you just look at the value or the increase in ARR that this customer is going to give you every year, if you just look at that in isolation, it makes complete sense. But what you always forget, and it's so easy to forget, is that, once you've built this one feature for this one customer, then you have to support it forever. And, if there's bugs, you have to fix them. If you release new features, you have to do regression tests against them. This feature will always be there. And suddenly the cost of ownership of this feature for the team can be huge in comparison to, for example, the value that it gives to the actual buyer in our instance that requested it. And if you do this, once or twice, it's not too terrible. If you do this 10, 12, 14 times, then suddenly you have a whole load of features in your platform that you now need to support for a bunch of individual customers. And frankly, they might not even use those features. It's sometimes what we find is that, the buyers are very specific in the contracts and say, well, we need feature A, B, and C. But what those features might not necessarily actually solve their problem. So what we try really hard to do now is to understand the actual underlying problem that's being solved and see if we can solve that in a more generic way that would be valuable to everybody.
Yeah, is it about that one customer, or is it about the customer segment? My answer to that would be, how does that one logo, that one customer, represent your target group?
As a startup, we started to do everything, and now we are a little bit more mature, as we indeed exist 15 years. So at this moment, we are really assessing new opportunities. We have a kind of a group of people, also including the product managers, who decide on new topics or new projects. And it might be that we decide to not do it because it is not in line with our strategy.
I think understanding the customer problems really sort of influences how you implement the vision rather than the actual vision itself in most cases.